So right now we're in the midst of everyone, not everyone, but a lot of these complain about any talks of race. Once again, they're trying to make it illegal to even talk about race in classrooms. Not at dinner tables on Thanksgiving, but in classrooms. And if you're not going to talk about race and how it impacts life, as you look at history, when would you talk about it? Never would be the answer. If your grandparents didn't talk to you about how shitty it was, that's because they were with the shits. Okay? That's how that works. Because I come from a family where I knew all about how bad white people were treating black people in the South and in the North and in the North and in the North. Black parents didn't tell their kids to be reasonable and when they considered job opportunities, not because they didn't love their kids and think their kids were smart, is they knew how racist America was. And if your white parents weren't telling you, you weren't growing up hearing how fucked up America was, that's because they were with the fuckery. That's what that means, Johnson. If it's up to them, we'd never talk about it. To them, slavery was just an alternative form of job creation. Now put a pin in that, let's go to this. So today, Marc Lamont Hill of the Black News Channel was having a conversation with a repugnant person, but he was really reasonable with the guy. Marc Lamont went out of his way to be as cordial as possible to this guy. His name is Representative Vernon Jones. A lot more cordial than I would be, but hey, that's why I'm here on alternative news site or alternative forms of streaming. But even Marc Lamont Hill had more than he could take because Vernon's a special kind of asshole. Now listen, it's one thing to be against something like critical race theory, but if you can't even tell us what the hell it is, then you're a joke. And if when asked repeatedly, what is it that you don't like about it, and you just come with these generalities, you're not only a joke, you're an effing joke, okay?
Let me pause for 1 second. I'm trying to understand, though. You oppose critical race theory, which I understand. I'm just asking, what is it? What is the thing you define it? Like, for example, if I said I'm against creationism, I would say creationism is X, Y, and Z, right? If I said I was against the teaching of sex education, I say, well, sex education is X, Y, and Z, and I'd have a basis for it. What is critical race theory?
Well, first of all, again, I can tell you, but it's left up to you to understand. I can't make you understand. Fact of it is, the critical race theory, even on its basis, should not be taught in our schools, period. Now, if you can't understand,
but what is it?
And if you want to debate, well, to me, what it does, to me, my interpretation, as well as many others.
No, not what it does. What is it? How do you define it? I mean, that's asking you to define critical race theory because my audience may not know.
Well,
say it
obviously
again?
You don't know. And you haven't, I said, obviously you don't know and you haven't told your audience. But again, how I see it and how
I don't know.
Received. Well, then what is it then? No, what is it then? Okay,
well, I'm happy to answer that for you.
This type of nonsense where they play games, I know, but since you want to ask me, you tell them what it is. I mean, since you want to ask me questions like I'm supposed to know what I'm against. You tell me the thing or the definition of the thing that I say that I'm against, because I don't have to waste my time explaining to you what I'm against, even though I know that I'm here to talk about the thing that you just asked me, but I don't have to know the name of it or the title or even understand what I'm against. I mean, these are public figures. This guy's an elected official. People voted for this moron. You understand what I'm saying? Vernon Jones is a hack. Period.
And how
I don't know.
Receive. Well, then what is it then? No, what is it then? Okay.
Well, I'm happy to answer that for you, but you're saying
just answer. I'll tell you what. Just answer for me. Let's
absolutely.
not get into debate. Okay, I'm waiting for you to answer. Go ahead and answer.
I will. Just hold on 1 second.
Just answer.
You're saying that.
That's messed up, man. Obviously, brother has slight stutter. So Vernon likes playing hardball. And I'm going to handle that ass a little bit later, but here we go.
Well, I want you to answer before you move on.
That's fine. But
what is it? You can't tell your audience what it is?
I think
if you can't tell your audience what it is.
Sir, I'm going to answer.
Is that what you're saying,
all
sir?
Right, in order
you tell me you can't tell your audience.
In order for us to have a conversation, we can't talk over each other, brother. I'm happy to answer your question, but I want to finish my question on my show. So what I'm saying is, on day one, you've made a statement that on day one, you're going to have an executive order to ban something, and you have yet to define what the thing is you're going to ban. I'm happy to answer it. I happen to have expertise in this area, but I would think because you are going to make you're going to make as an executive order a ban of something, I would think that you would have a definition of it. You've told me.
And see, this is something I got to point out, and this is the reason why I push back when people only talk about Democrats. There are some black people that listen to this guy. And as much as I want to call out Joe Biden every day, as much as I want to take Kamala Harris to school, as much as I want to call out anyone on the Democratic Party who fails to actually deliver, such as Jim Clyburn and actual policies that help black people, who would be willing to shave down parts of the Policing Act in order to appease law enforcement. Like, as much as I want to call that out, you cannot omit the Representative Vernon Joneses of the Republican Party. These coons, you can't omit them because some people listen to them because they hate the Democrats so much, they start listening to this guy. And he's running for governor. Do you understand this? He's running for governor of Georgia. And he says in his first 100 days, if he's elected, he's going to ban critical race theory. And he don't even know what the fuck critical race theory is. And most people will not even cover it who call themselves leftists because it's Republican-based. And I have to fight for black people on the left and on the right and in the middle. Okay? And guys like Vernon Jones deserve to be called out. I've disagreed on certain things with Marc Lamont, but not on this shit. And I take things piece by piece by piece. This guy, Vernon Jones, has the audacity to go on someone's show, not know what he's talking about, and also be running on a platform abandoning something he can't even define what it is. This should be everywhere. And with your help, maybe it will be. Because it's going to be a separate clip, baby. And I want you to share the shit out of this.
Expert. What makes you an expert?
What makes me an expert is that for the last 15 years, I've been a trained scholar with an Ivy League PhD who has written and studied race. What makes me an expert is that I have lectured widely around the world on critical race theory.
PhDs come a dime a dozen. So because you have a PhD, you're an expert. But what county?
No, I don't actually. Actually, a PhD does make you an expert.
Don't pull that PhD card.
Actually, sir,
what it says is that you walk around like you got a PhD, but you know what? You're just as dumb as two left shoes because you're a PhD.
Whoa. We're not
academic.
Hold on, sir. Here's what we're not going to do. Here's what y'all got to mute his mic. Y'all got to mute his mic. Y'all got to mute his mic. This is what I'm saying. If you talk over me and call, we're not going to name call on the show. I have not name called you, sir. You have come on the show. You're a black Republican. I have not called you a name. I've not called you Uncle Tom. I've not called you a handkerchief head. I've not called you a Sambo. I've not called you a shine. I've not called you a ham bone. I haven't done any of that. So you're not going to come on my show and call me dumb. What I will tell you is that critical race theory is a theory that actually emerged out of critical legal studies. It is a theory that makes an attempt to understand the law through the lens of race, and it's founded on some fundamental presumptions. One is the intractability of race and racism, meaning that it's an intractable problem in America, and that we have to use the lens of race to make sense of things. It also is based on the use of counter stories. Listening to as Derek Bell, the critical race scholar, said, the voice is at the bottom of the well to make sense of the world and to make sense of the law. These are two big theories, two big pillars of it. And so what we want to do, if you want to ban it, you have to explain to me why. But the problem is, all these Republicans, all of these scholars, all of these Republicans, all of these non-scholars, they say, I'm going to ban critical race theory, and they can't answer it. And then he says, well, if you can't answer it, then you must not know what it is. It's on some like he who smelt it dealt it kind of logic. The fact of the matter is he can't define it because he don't know what it is. They look for things to ban to signal to white people, hey, I got your back. They ban things that aren't even an issue. There is no public school teacher in America who is attempting to put critical race theory in schools. Critical race theory isn't even taught in high school. It's not even really taught in college. It is taught in law school, and it is increasingly been taught in graduate school because it is a set of theories and understandings to make sense of our lived realities through the law and through everyday life. Those are the things we should be talking about. So if you want to be a black Republican, your first day in office as governor, which you ain't going to be because you ain't going to beat Stacey Abrams as a black Republican. You only in the line because the line is short. But if you want to do this, your first thing, not to ban bullying, not to try and do something against the violence of LGBT students, not to do something about the gap in resources. Instead, you're going to ban a theory that nobody's trying to bring in the first place. That is a smoke signal to white America and really to white racists.
Now, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's why you got to call it out. You ain't got to be a champion for the Democrats to call that shit out. It is what it is. The only reason why Vernon and all the other bootlickers are even talking about critical race theory is because they want to jump on the bandwagon. They want to jump on the bandwagon and get along with the crowd who are against it. They don't even know what they're against. And at this point, any discussion of race is being shoehorned into an ideology most of us don't even know shit about, which is critical race theory. I mean, any conversation about race. If you say, hey, I watched a race last night, there'll be a dumb white person stand up and say, critical race theory. I'm against it. I was talking about Sha'Carri, dumbass. Now it's gotten so bad, we even got black folks like Vernon carrying the torch, the tiki torch of stupidity about critical race theory. No one is walking, like most average people aren't walking around talking about critical race theory. And the rub is that now they're trying to pretend like a bunch of regular folks give a shit about it. No, I care about black history being taught. I give a shit that we stop coddling white kids, let them know how fucked up America is. That's how we change America. I mean, if we have any hope, if you don't allow us to let white people be educated, we can't just have black people be the only one know what's going on in the world when it comes to race, because we're not the majority in the country. White kids have to understand racism in America, or forget all hope in the future, because we won't overcome these hurdles just by black people knowing how racism operates. We've known how racism operates in America forever. Has that changed racism in America? No. And for people like Vernon Jones, he's okay with that as long as these people, these good white people, give him money for his dumb campaign, his failed campaign, and yeah, I'm calling it right now. As long as he get money and donations for his war chest, he'll throw us under the bus and all the black kids, all of America under the bus to pad his pockets. I put out this tweet. I said, so this happened. Marc Lamont Hill had to blast Representative Vernon Jones for his uninformed false narrative and basic tap dancing for buttermilk biscuits nonsense. To my surprise, I went away, I did things, I got ready for the show, and I realized that Representative Vernon had replied to me. He says, you're butt boy, Marc Lamont, lifetime student, no time job, BS and crazy race D-Roy. And then he sent over a video of two horrible, grifting sons of... So I said this, the Hodgkins are self-hating grifter shitheads, and so are you, Vernon. I have more chance of being governor than you. Shut the fuck up. And I meant that. Then when I went back to see if he was going to talk some more shit, I see that Vernon had deleted his tweet. That's right. I went back to see if Vernon was going to still talk, and his tweet had suddenly disappeared. Because, guys, Vernon's cowardly. He's cowardly, he's on the dole, he's a grifter, and he doesn't know much, okay? That's the whole deal here. You ain't got to agree with Marc Lamont Hill, okay? You don't. But if you're there to talk about a topic, if you don't know the topic, maybe you should have called in sick. How is that too hard to do? Vernon's part of a misinformation class himself. So people say the misinformation class only exists with corporate Democrats. It also exists with neoliberals and whatever this guy is, who used to be a neoliberal. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Representative Vernon Jones was a Democrat who switched because Trump was getting so much done for black people, which we all know was bullshit. Shout out to Rashad Ritchie, Dr. Rashad Ritchie on that. He really brought me up to speed on some of the facts about Donald Trump's presidency as it pertains to black people and how much he did for us. Because there's a lot of lies out there that, unfortunately, I was kind of stuck with watching some progressive commentators, or so-called progressive commentators, never really comment on it. Back to my point. Some people don't know that Vernon Jones is horrible human feces with the ability to walk and chew. So they don't get it. Here goes Vernon caping like a motherfucker for Donald Trump.
But I'm here to tell you that black voices are becoming more woke and louder than ever. The Democratic Party has become infected with a pandemic of intolerance, bigotry, socialism, anti-law enforcement bias, and a dangerous tolerance for people who attack others, destroy their property, and terrorize our own communities. That's what this election is all about.
See what I'm saying? That's why I had no problems hammering Vernon Jones, because Vernon Jones is a bootlicking, grifting, coon in the ass Sambo of the highest order. That's what he is. And I'm not going to pull any punches on this guy. No punches will be pulled. All the moves work. Kidney punches, behind the head, behind the back, all that works here. It's an MMA match, cage match, grudge match. Imagine going in front of a big-ass room full of conservatives and saying the problem with America is that we be rioting. Black people be rioting and destroying property. Man, America's been destroying us for 400 years, and your bitch ass use your time on the podium in front of these people to talk about we be destroying property. Motherfucker, your grandparents were property. Or maybe your great-grandparents. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, it's hard to tell because you shaved all the hair off your face. So either you're 28 or you're 58. Either way, I don't trust you. Never trust a man with no facial hair. The reason why you gotta go after Vernon Jones is at least as hard as you would go after Tom Perez. I mean, come on, guys. Tom Perez is horrible. And now he's running for governor of Maryland. I don't want that motherfucker to be my governor. So I'm at least going to go after Vernon Jones as hard as I'm going to go after Tom Perez. Okay? And that's the difference between you and me. Those who disagree is that I see both of them as a threat. Both of them are liars. Both of them are grifters. Both of them are against black people. And Tom Perez never get up there and say that shit. He say other things, though, that are just as damaging in a nicer voice. And they all should be pushed back on. And why not? We are commentators. We're not paid by the establishment. We should be using as much time as we can because it's free time, free mic, and just run through these assholes. Instead, we got commentators pretending to be politicians like they're running for office. And the next time, Vernon Jones, you got some shit to say, don't delete your tweet, coward. And never, ever use the Hodge twins as a backup. Them guys are deplorable. Them the type of motherfuckers that killed Malcolm X. Them the ones that told on Nat Turner. Them, that's who the Hodge twins are. They ain't black, they green, and that's all they know about. They have a hollow. If they couldn't sell out black people, they wouldn't have careers. They found a second career in selling out black people. They went from lifting steroids to lifting Klan hoods over their heads, pretending Clayton Bigsby's illegitimate nephews. All right. Or bastard nephews. That's what they are. Clayton Bigsby's bastard nephews. Candace Owens' cousins. All right, next. Damn, that felt good.
Most news shows are suspect. They don't focus on black issues, and when they do, it's all fluff. How does that help your life? How does that help your family? How does that help the culture? They don't. The Tim Black Show is different. Tim Black gives you news for people who can't stand the news. Real, Authentic, researched, entertaining, on point. Don't let nobody take your cornbread. Visit www.timblacktv.com today. Get black breaking news, politics, culture from someone you can trust. timblacktv.com. Join us today.